Good evening. Here we are on Monday waiting for the Chargers to take on the Saints, and which should be a tough battle. Anyways, today we're going to talk about the Raiders versus the Chiefs, the Giants versus the Cowboys, and then the Vikings facing off against the Seattle Seahawks. So, are you ready to get your fix? Well, I was wrong when I said the Kansas City Chiefs would go undefeated or at least have a shot at going undefeated at the Raiders. They played some really good football and was able to slow down that Chiefs offense, which at the start of the game I didn't think could happen. Now, don't get me wrong, the Chiefs played really solid as well. They couldn't get the job done. I think a big reason the Chiefs lost the game was because I seen Patrick Mahomes throw the long balls more than he has in any other games this season. Now, taking those shots obviously pays off, but I believe he only completed about 2 out of the 10 to 12 passes over 30 yards, which is something that it just can't happen. Taking these shots takes away a down and makes it a lot harder to move that ball downfield because now you're thinking, oh, I got to get this first down instantly, and it's really tough to do when you're throwing those long balls. Now, Patrick Mahomes, he played some good football, but it just wasn't enough. For the Raiders, Derek Carr, okay, he played some of the best football I've seen from him this entire season. I mean, 22 for 31 with 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception is a pretty good line. Also, Josh Jacobs is an elite running back, and I'm pretty sure everyone already kind of knew that. This man's vision mixed with his elusiveness is just next level, and he's been super consistent this season. Now, he can do a better job, and he will be better, but for now, he's doing just fine. And he did have 2 touchdowns over the Chiefs, so he was a big part of that win. My top 3 performers for the Raiders are Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, and then Henry Ruggs, who, by the way, had 2 receptions for 118 yards and a touchdown. Just absolutely unbelievable for Henry Ruggs. Now, for the Chiefs, I got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill. So moving over to the Giants taking on the Cowboys. First off, sending prayers to Dak Prescott. He had a gruesome injury in which you kind of had to look away from the screen and just hold your breath. You knew it was over from there. Just seeing his ankle the way it was, it was not good. But the Giants, they started this game really, really strong. Darius Slayton played a phenomenal game and is looking like an elite receiver, which is something I didn't expect to happen. I knew that he would be good, okay? But I thought that Sterling Shepard would be that number 1 guy. But that's just not the case, okay? Darius Slayton's the real deal for the Giants. He's their number 1 guy at this moment. Evan Ingram, okay, he also didn't look that bad. He notched a rushing touchdown, which I thought was pretty impressive. He needs to be used more in that offense as he's a really, really good tight end. He was before his injuries, he was really, really good. After his injuries, he's kind of slowed down. I think he's kind of taken it a little bit easier on himself, but he's starting to get there, I think. Now, the Giants actually, for once, looked like a good team this season. I mean, this was a really good game by the Giants. Now, for the Cowboys, that defense is bad. Okay, I mean, you're supposed to be a top 5, 10 defense in the NFL, and you go out there against the second worst team, and you allow them to score 34 points and nearly come away with a win. I mean, just flat out unacceptable and actually kind of funny. Again, prayers to Dak. But hey, we actually got to see Andy Dalton play, and I knew this would happen. I just didn't think it would happen the way it did, which is unfortunate. But Andy Dalton, he won the game for the Cowboys, okay? And he had one of the best drives of his career to do so. CeeDee Lamb is also putting on a show this season, and he's finally got his feet under him. It won't surprise me if he actually wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think he had 128 receiving yards. This man, I think, is back-to-back weeks now of 100-plus yards. He's something special. I knew he was going to be. I thought he should have been the first receiver taken off the board, but that wasn't the case. He was the second. So I just think he has a really good chance over Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson to win that Offensive Rookie of the Year. So my top 3 performers for the Giants are Daniel Jones, Darius Slayton, and then Kyler Fackrell, who had an interception for a touchdown. So for the Cowboys, I got Andy Dalton, Ezekiel Elliott, who actually ran really tough yesterday, and then CeeDee Lamb. Again, an unbelievable performance by him. So finally, let's get to the Vikings taking on the Seahawks, in which I thought the Vikings controlled the entire game. Okay, they actually looked really solid, but had a brain fart at the end of it. Now, I also did think that the Vikings should have gone for it, just because it was only a yard and it would have sealed the game right then and there. But they failed to gain that first down, and then they let Russell Wilson kind of do his thing and notch his 30th career comeback win in the fourth quarter. You just can't give that to Russell. You take those points, kick the field goal. Now you're up 8, and then now you have to make Russell Wilson score a touchdown and then try to get that 2-point conversion, and then you go into overtime. But that wasn't the case. The Vikings wanted to win. It just didn't happen the way they wanted to. Alexander Mattison, he played some really, really good football, and that's kind of nice to see. Now, Dalvin Cook, he ended up tweaking his groin, and Mattison runs really, really, really similar to Dalvin, and then he ended the game with 112 rushing yards. Now, overall, the Vikings, they played some really nice football, which is something I like to see, okay? This is kind of a rough team defensive-wise. Offensive-wise, they have weapons. They have what it takes. I think that offensive line needs a little bit of work, especially with the penalties. It's just something that they got to work on amongst themselves. Now, Russell Wilson, he's going to continue to do his job, as seen last night. His final drive to win the game was unbelievable, and he did it like it was the start of the game. Okay, DK Metcalf's catch to win that game in the end zone was incredible. DK, at least in my eyes, is a top 10 receiver in the NFL at this point. And if DK doesn't go off, Tyler Lockett goes off. Now, Tyler Lockett was shut down last night by, I think, Jeff Gladney was guarding him. But you just can't give Russell Wilson the opportunity to win the game, because he's going to, especially with what he has and those weapons that he has and his legs. He can run. Okay, he ran first play to win the comeback, win the game. He had a 17-yard run like it was nothing. I don't know where that defense was, but you could just kind of tell that the air was getting sucked right out of that Minnesota Vikings defense on that final drive. So overall, Vikings should have won this game. They didn't, but Seattle's a good team. So now we go to next week and see if the Vikings can actually take the same performance from the Seattle Seahawks game over to the Atlanta Falcons, and then see where it goes from there. Otherwise, this team is just fine. Okay, they're waiting for Danielle Hunter to come back on that defense, and I think that's going to be a big factor moving forward. So my top 3 performers for the Vikings are Kirk Cousins, Alexander Mattison, and then Adam Thielen. For the Seahawks, I got Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and then KJ Wright, who, by the way, is playing phenomenal this season. He's actually looking like a solid linebacker for that defense. He's just having a really good season. I think he's going to continue to do so down the line, as I mentioned last week. Well, that's going to end our discussion today as we wait for the Chargers taking on that New Orleans Saints team who should have Michael Thomas, but he got in an altercation during practice, so they're forcing him to sit out this Monday night. So I think it's going to be a really solid game. It's going to be a tough-fought one, and it might be kind of low scoring. I think it's going to be about 24-21, maybe 28-21, somewhere around there. But anyways, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow, and you just got your fix with the Wicks.